AB5 has been passed, and now it's time to look about who could potentially be affected by this bill.
Xbox, Twitter, Uber,
Postmates,
Netflix, MoviePass,
Google,
eBay,
DoorDash,
Apple, Amazon, Airbnb,
The Apptrepreneur. Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur, and to the surprise of absolutely no one, AB5 has passed the Senate. It is going to Governor Newsom's desk to sign, of which I doubt he will sign it. I've got a very big reason why I believe he will not sign it. We're not going to talk about it here though. We are going to talk about it in the next video, which has a little bit more damning information and might not even be up till later in the afternoon, just to give everyone a heads up. But let's talk about this in the meantime. In Gizmodo, workers rack up another victory as California preps to classify Uber and Lyft drivers as employees. And by the way, it looks like this is what Capitol Hill looked like on Wednesday, which I wish we had known about that, because had I known there would be that the counter protesters would be there on Wednesday and not Tuesday, I think all of us would have probably tried to make arrangements to stay an additional night, personally. That's what I think. But, you know, water under the bridge, as they say. So, rideshare drivers in California turned out in droves in support of a state bill that would classify them as full employees. They walked away this afternoon with another victory in what is and likely is to continue to be a long and ugly fight. First introduced to the State Assembly in January as Assembly Bill 5 by Representative Lorena Gonzalez, the bill codifies and expands a landmark state Supreme Court ruling from last May, which wrestled with the same employment classification issue. In determining whether a worker is a true independent contractor, as Uber, Lyft, and other gig economy platforms contend, or employees, there are a number of legal tests that, in simple terms, suss out whether the laborer has sufficient say in how and when the work is completed. California Supreme Court, in applying the broader ABC test, decided contract drivers working for delivery firm Dynamex were improperly classified, opening the door for gig workers across the state to challenge their own status, which clearly they did. In an email to Gizmodo, Samantha Gallegos, a spokesperson for Representative Gonzalez, wrote that gig economy companies, quote, are likely already misclassifying their workers under the Dynamex decision. Assembly Bill 5 would codify this decision and bring clarity to those professions and industries in which workers actually do operate as independent contractors. AB5 overwhelmingly passed this May 53-11. With the bill now working its way through the various state Senate votes, rideshare companies have given their gloves a coat of tiger balm, pushing messages out to drivers that campaign against AB5. A vague petition sent to drivers in the state urged them to fight for driver flexibility and independence, which might not necessarily go away even if AB5 becomes law, but, you know, whatever. Many such drivers reportedly signed the petition, later regretting the decision when they realized they were helping undermine their own chances of employee classification. In my opinion, yes, you were. However, some people feel differently. Again, talk about it in the next video. So, today's protest outside the Capitol building in Sacramento was also preceded by a counter-protest yesterday opposing the bill, obviously to the benefit of rideshare companies, which reportedly paid to supply participants with free t-shirts and food. Again, next video, really, really big. So, here's the thing. In the end, the pro-AB5 group, which consists of drivers, activist groups like Gig Workers Rising, Rideshare Drivers United, Fight for 15, and trade groups like the Service Employees International Union, came out victorious. The Labor, Public Employment, and Retirement Committee of the California State voted in favor of the bill 3-1. So, there you go. 3-1. Got through. That AB5 has made it this far despite the deep ties California has to these companies, the majority of which are based in the state, says a great deal about how far drivers have been able to shift public opinion on gig economy. However, the fight is far from over. The State Senate Appropriations Committee will hear the bill next, and if successfully passed, will head to a full Senate vote. Assuming all goes well, Representative Gonzalez's team expects the law to go into effect January 1st, 2020. So, that's the story so far. It's still got a way to go. And by the way, I fully expect all these companies to try to get it appealed. Now, who will this affect? Well, according to Quartz, let's see here. Let's skip all of this. Under this test, it's possible that gig economy workers who are currently classified as independent contractors, think Uber drivers and DoorDash couriers, would be considered employees. For instance, how do Uber drivers perform work outside the usual course of Uber's business when Uber is in the business of providing rides? It's hard to overstate how big a deal this could be for the gig economy. Reclassifying contractors as employees would give these workers all the protections of traditional employment, which under U.S. labor law are not afforded to contractors: Social Security, unemployment insurance, health benefits, a minimum wage, the right to form a union. See, I can talk fast once in a while. It could be hugely expensive to companies, which would have to cover payroll taxes and workers' compensation insurance. Courts work with second measure, which analyzes billions of anonymized credit and debit purchases to see how exposed certain gig economy companies are to now I'm messing up, to California's potential new law based on the share of their U.S. sales in the state. Second measure pulled data on 6 companies: Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Grubhub, Instacart, and Postmates. Uber Eats is broken out separately from Uber Rides business. So here's the chart. How exposed are the big companies to AB5? Well, apparently Postmates is by far the most exposed to AB5, and Grubhub is the least. Interestingly, Uber and Uber Eats is fairly low, but the biggest ones, Postmates, DoorDash, then you have Lyft, then Instacart in the middle. I think Instacart's in the middle because while the reasons they would normally be exposed fall under closer to Postmates and DoorDash, Instacart has actually been really good about backpedaling on unpopular things that drivers are not happy with. And so that probably earns them a little bit more goodwill, and they are probably the most likely to rework their business model if need be for the new bill. So what stands out from the data is how dependent Postmates is on California. As of May, 41% of Postmates U.S. sales were attributable to California, according to second measure, down slightly from 46% a year ago. A Postmates spokesperson said in an email that the company is committed to working with Newsom and labor leaders on legislation that establishes, quote, a new class of worker benefits with worker flexibility. DoorDash, a Postmates competitor, was similarly dependent on California a year ago, but has dramatically reduced its share of sales in that state over the past 12 months as its business has grown throughout its U.S. In ride-hailing, Lyft does a bigger share of its business in California than Uber does, was 24% of U.S. sales in the state in May. This is why they're not going to leave, by the way. Look, 24%. Are you just going to leave 24% of your sales behind? No, you're going to figure out how to make it work. Lyft has also slightly reduced that share over the past year. It was 26% in June 2018. It's worth remembering, when looking at the data, that California makes up an even smaller share of Uber's global sales, since the company operates its ride services in 63 countries. Lyft, by contrast, only operates in the U.S. So there you go. Let's look at this chart again. Like, 41% of Postmates sales comes from California, 27% from DoorDash, 24% from Lyft, and only 11% from Grubhub. So here's the thing. Grubhub could probably, in theory, leave California if they are not happy with this. I don't know why they would. A business that would be willing to give 11% of their sales is probably not a very smart business. Postmates downright cannot afford to leave California. Uber probably can, to a certain extent. I don't think they'd want to, especially since rides and eats are separate, so that's leaving 2 pots of money on the table. So here's the thing. I don't believe they're going to be leaving California, but this is how exposed they are. So anyway, here's where we're going to leave this one, folks, because I think I really want to get to the next video much sooner than later. These companies have a long way to go. Well, not how am I first? Sorry, someone tried calling me. I'm gonna have to call them back. Oh God. In my opinion, all these companies would do well to just suck it up, work with California, work within the confines of what's been dealt with them, and figure it out, because this is too much money to be leaving on the table. And here's the thing. Again, this isn't over yet. It's going to have to go through another Senate hearing. Newsom will have to sign it. If he doesn't sign it, it goes back and has to rework. I bet you the companies will try to sue the state for passing it. It is not over by a long shot. I think you're going to have current Uber, Lyft, Postmates, DoorDash, whatever, for the next 5 years, I would say. Which, of course, gives me a lot to talk about. And I guess you plenty of time to make, what, in 5 years, you'll probably be making 20 cents a mile. So anyway, that's where we're going to leave it. I would love to know, what do you think about all of this? Are you surprised? Are you disappointed in the results? Are you happy about the results? I mean, we've got another video about this. I think more people are going to comment on that one. However, what do you think? I'd love to know. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you want my Sorry. Anyway, I'd love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy my videos, consider becoming a Patreon member. It's totally optional, of course, but even as little as $1 a month goes a long way to helping the channel run smoothly. You get access to my Patreon's exclusive blog. Also, if gas prices are getting just a little too high for you, check out the Get Upside app below. It's totally free, and you get cash back on every gas purchase. If you want more content from me, subscribe to my other YouTube channels, Kevin T. Rodriguez and the Apptrepreneur Vlogs, for a different kind of content. And finally, if you want to talk to me or other fellow rideshare people, check us out at the Apptrepreneur Hangouts on Facebook. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.